A lot of requests for this one to be reviewed. So today we're going to review the RD1 Straight Bourbon Whiskey, a brand that started back in 2020 with a pretty cool history. So today we will take a quick dive into that history and try this flagship bourbon. By popular demand, it's What's on the Shelf Wednesday. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Master and Drum Whiskey Room. I'm Jason C, and this is What's on the Shelf Wednesday, the series where I bring you quick reviews of whiskeys you can actually find on the shelf, including bourbons, rye, scotches, Irish whiskeys, and more. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the history of RD1. In 1865, the first federal registered distillery in Lexington, Kentucky was called Ashland Distillery. It was given the designation of RD number 1 for tax district number 7. Now later, it was purchased by William Tarr and renamed the William Tarr Distillery, which was a powerhouse producer for numerous whiskey brands up until Prohibition. Now, unfortunately, a decade after its inception, there was kind of a familiar story where the distillery was destroyed by a fire. Now the distillery was rebuilt even larger with additional barrel warehouses and an on-site cooperage. In 1897, owner William Tarr became enamored with railroad growth and began focusing time and investments there. Ultimately, the distillery went up for auction and ownership would transfer several more times. Like most bourbon stories, Prohibition closed those distillery doors in 1919. But fast forward to 2020, Lexington entrepreneurs established a new brand, RD1, to honor this meaningful era for Lexington bourbon and help write the next chapter. Now, this one was a favorite amongst a lot of whiskey tubers and a lot of other bourbon enthusiasts. This was the Manchester Reserve, which was bottled at 114 proof. It was met with rave reviews, and I loved it as well. Later, they released the Old William Tarr Inheritance, which is a 12-year limited edition bourbon, packaged inside a gift box and autographed by Coach Stoops, the all-time winningest head coach in the history of the Kentucky Wildcats. Now, more recently, in the fall of 2022, the company released its Here to Stay portfolio under the brand RD1, with a mindset of exploring the interaction of Kentucky straight bourbon with unique woods from across the world. So, in their portfolio now, they have this straight bourbon, which is a small batch product. They have a French oak finish, an Amburana finish, and a maple finish. Now, I looked for the French oak because I really wanted to try that one and review it, but I couldn't find it here, unfortunately. So today we're going to taste the flagship small batch bourbon. All right, so here are the details. The RD1 small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey is bottled at 98 proof, comes in a 750 milliliter bottle. It's aged 4+ years. They use 100% Kentucky corn and local limestone well water in their sour mash. It's also non-chill filtered. The mash bill is 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley for a price of about 60 bucks. I do really like this bottle. I think when I first saw it, it definitely gave me Knob Creek vibes a little bit. It's got the RD1 logo, and I think it's supposed to be like a fence from Kentucky, kind of that 4-gate fence, kind of in the background. That's embossed in the bottle as well. It's a really cool looking bottle. All right, let's dive into RD1. Here we go. I like this nose a lot. It's very citrus forward. It comes off like orange marmalade, little sweet pipe tobacco there. I do believe that this whiskey is sourced from Green River, and that would make sense because I get a lot of citrus on Green River, so that, you know, that kind of falls in line with what I thought. There's a really nice mix of vanilla and orange. It's like an orange dreamsicle, basically, on the nose to me, which is, I dig that. Again, it reminds me of those old school, remember the Flintstones push pops? The orange push pops, remember those things? I don't know. Maybe I'm dating myself, but those orange push pops I used to get from the ice cream man growing up. That's what this reminds me of. But just creamsicle in general. That's mainly what's there. There's some spice there as well. I think you do get those baking spices, a little bit of clove. Yeah, maybe even a little hint of lemon too. It's very desserty on the nose, so let's give it a try. I gotta say, it's a nice bourbon. Great flavors, great balance. The finish on this is actually really nice. It really gives you a nice, like, lingering spice, a little bit of a lingering spice rack note on the back end of this a little bit. But again, that orange creamsicle note just kind of dominates. Second sip, I feel like I get a little bit more of a caramel corn vibe here, which is still pretty good, kind of Cracker Jack-ish without the peanuts. Now, I think there's some chocolate there for sure, especially towards the back of the palate. This is a very nice, well-rounded bourbon. And again, the finish is what makes this one. The finish that 21% rye that it has, it's just lingering and lingering. And it's not lingering into the point where it's drinking too hot. It's just a really beautiful spice. This is one of those like bourbons you just kind of sit down with and just sip it all night because of that spice that it has. I love that about this bourbon right now. There's just too many bourbons out there these days. It's too, like the finishes are just too short. And I know some people like that, but I feel like I can't enjoy the bourbon the way I want to enjoy it if that finish is so short, because then I have to keep going back to it. This has a finish that holds on for a little while, which is probably the best part of it. Yeah, orange creamsicle, caramel corn, a little bit of honey there, but that rye spice that it has on the very end of this and that lingering finish is the best part of it. So it's 60 bucks. Would I buy this again? I do wish it was cheaper, to be honest. I wish this was more of a, if this was like a $45, $50 bottle, I think it would do really well, but it's 60 bucks. I feel like there's just so many bourbons on the market that can compete with this, because once you get into that $60 area, you're kind of getting up to like Russell's Reserve, Knob Creek 12, and some of these other, now I understand everybody wants to compare, you know, big brand prices to small brand. I say it all the time. It's kind of an unfair comparison. So perhaps I shouldn't do that because they are sourcing barrels. It's just not as cost effective to do that rather than when you're distilling everything on your own. However, I will say this, if you like high rye, if you like a long finish and just some really classic bourbon flavors, especially with it leaning a little into more of a vanilla orange type flavor profile, I think this could be a bottle to add to your list to maybe give it a try. But as far as anyone getting this now or adding it to your list, I do highly recommend this. I know the price is probably a little bit too high for what it is at $60, but I will say that if you're looking for something different, to try something different, especially if you like those flavor profiles that I was talking about. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the review for the RD1 small batch bourbon whiskey. If you enjoyed the review, please hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, find me on Instagram. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this one. Does the price point scare you off a little bit, or is this one that you've already tried and you've been enjoying? I'm a real big fan of this one, so I'm definitely going to be seeking out the other ones like the French Oak. I'll probably skip the Amburana, but I'd like to try the French Oak and the Maple. So make sure you hit that subscribe button below as I work my way to 100,000 subscribers. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers. See you next time right here on The Mash and Drum. Cheers, folks.